When we live our SHA Cares values, we create a health system where Indigenous patients feel safe, supported, and not just heard, but understood. Recent incidents where Indigenous patients' hair was cut without consent caused real pain and trauma. We acknowledge this and commit that this unsupported practice must stop. This video and policy were created for staff and physicians to understand the cultural significance of hair, the importance of consent, and ensuring safety for all patients.
Geistigas no anima gewia nachgosche. Ego aiwagi tago kita chako no ego dosche.
What if I told you everything has a spirit?
Everything in our body has its own spirit. We were told that we must not cut our hair because our hair is a part of our spirit and it's supposed to guide us.
It is where we get our strength from. Not strength in a physical form, but strength in the form of mental, emotional, and spiritual connectedness, like a sixth sense. When I was young, I remember being teased for having long hair. And I remember going home one day and telling my mom that I wanted to cut my hair. And I wanted to cut my hair not because I didn't like my hair, because I wanted the teasing to stop. And I remember crying and telling her, and she said to me, my boy, she said, don't cut your hair. She goes, keep your hair and you'll thank me when you get older. Fast forward into present day, I remember my kids coming home and telling me the exact same thing that I told my mom. And I was wondering, how is this possible? You know, decades after I went through that, my own children are still going through it. And I saw other people struggling with it. Their children were going through the same thing. So I decided to do something about it. So I created Boys with Braids. What Boys with Braids is, and it's a gathering where people come together and we invite all of these young warriors who are on their journey. And we want to celebrate them and encourage them to continue to grow their hair because they just want to be proud of who they are. And so by doing this, we support them by educating the general public, but also teaching the significance of the hair.
Besegeni se san ksina ndago non si gwen si mosene gasa na got I pimata I minga pimata wen.
Our way of life is all sacred too. Everything is inclusive, including the hair, or how we do act, and our values, you know, that are sacred, and we have to keep them and maintain them, and carry them forward for our children, you know.
Ta do mistagas ta kon gimagan tak bitinawe igwa itu tamuin.
Traditionally, our hair told stories of family, of growth, of connection to Mother Earth. It was never simply style. It was a form of identity that symbolized respect for your ancestors, for your beliefs, and for your cultural pride. More than anything, it was and is a connection to the spirit world. Both of my grandparents were products of the residential school system. My mother was a part of the 60s Scoop. The 60s Scoop is where Indigenous children were taken from their families to non-Indigenous families, which was a continuation of the assimilation process.
Most of us went to the residential school with braids. Just about every child had braids, eh? And then the first thing we did at the residential school was they cut your hair. They cut the braids right off. And we couldn't do nothing. Some children were screaming and crying, eh? But nobody could do anything. And when it was my turn now, I didn't know what was happening. They cut one braid And I started to get really, really upset. I started crying and I wouldn't let them cut the other one.
Well, one of my grandfathers told me the first day, what happened to me was my first day, I went to school. We had a day school in Wahpeton. He says, I went there, and of course, he was a young boy, and it's very shameful to be cutting your hair. So he said, what it is, the first thing the teacher did was clip my hair with the scissors. He said, as soon as he did that, since I knew that it was weakening me, so I just ran home.
I was so sad for a long, long time. My head was not right, and I felt anger, and I resented those nuns. And then finally they had to get a grandmother from the reserve there to come and tell me that I had to get my hair cut because everybody's hair is going to get cut.
Racism exists. It's not isolated to any one group. It's present, and it's present in the health system. And to say otherwise would be untrue. But that doesn't mean we have to accept it. We can't accept it. It's something we have to address. It's something we have to be transparent about addressing. And it's something we have to be brave in addressing. Most people, when they're in the hospital, it's very foreign. It's an environment that they don't understand well. And that can be really scary in and of itself. And then you have the insult of something that is a part of your being removed without your consent it's just so distressing to see how affected they were.
And because to us, hair is very, very sacred, and hair is so beautiful. When you have hair, it gives you power. You're strong. You don't easily get intimidated. You don't get upset for anything because the hair has power. And you're looking after that hair, which means it's going to help you right through your life.
Well, we're not supposed to cut our hair, because that's why, you talk about Crazy Horse, Sitting Bull, all those warriors, they had long hair, and they made sure that they didn't have short hair because short hair weakens us.
For an Indigenous individual, this is something that is an extension of them as a being and a part of their spirit. And that's a very important thing to understand in the interests of meeting that person where they are and treating them with the respect they deserve.
Our SHA mission reminds us that we work together to improve health and well-being for everyone every day. When we live our SHA Cares values, we create a health system where Indigenous patients feel safe, respected, and not just heard, but understood.
In our culture, hair is never cut casually, and it carries deep-rooted significance. Only loved ones are even allowed to touch your hair.
Okay, that's it. Ahenakew, Dakota, we talk about you spruce the chin.
Colonialism tried to sever more than the land and language. In residential schools, children's hair was cut to kill the Indian in the child. It was an act of cultural genocide and control. Our hair is life. It connects us to who we are, where we come from, and where we are going. Respect it, honor it, protect it.
Honoring these teachings is how we show respect and support equity in the care we provide. My hope is that we slow down, listen with compassion, and approach these moments with care.